I'm Jason, UFC, and today we have a story about UFC middleweight contender Khamzat Chimaev is heading for hand surgery. Talks about his ideal return date. Khamzat Chimaev is going under the knife. Khamzat Chimaev made a triumphant return to the octagon at UFC 294 this past October. Yep, 2 months ago, October 2023, Khamzat Chimaev extended his perfect record to 13-0 with the biggest win of his career when he defeated former UFC welterweight champion Kamaru Usman via majority decision. Unfortunately for Khamzat Chimaev, the win came at a price of an injury. It was confirmed in the weeks following the win that Khamzat Chimaev suffered a torn ligament in his hand during the fight. It was unknown at the time whether or not the injury would require surgery, but Khamzat Chimaev has since provided an update and will indeed be sidelined for an extended period thanks to his impending operation. Oh, wow, that's interesting. This is what Khamzat Chimaev says. I'm going to do surgery operation in 1 or 2 weeks. So he hasn't even had the surgery yet. Khamzat Chimaev said on an Instagram live. After that, do the recovery, come back, smash somebody. Khamzat Chimaev win over Kamaru Usman presumably set him up to challenge for the UFC middleweight title as soon as possible, according to UFC CEO Dana White. However, the injury is becoming a factor, leading to the top-ranked contender Dricus du Plessis getting his title shot opposite of the UFC middleweight champion Sean Strickland at UFC 297 on January 20th, 2024. Basically a month from now, depending on how long Khamzat Chimaev is out. The timing for his return could line up, quote, perfectly for the promotion's biggest event of 2024. UFC 300 is expected to take place in April as per usual, with each 100 pay-per-view, pay-per-view. UFC goes as big as possible. A title shot would be ideal for Khamzat Chimaev, but the dominant contender simply likes the idea of competing on the historic night. This is what Khamzat Chimaev says. Tell Dana White, make that happen. Khamzat Chimaev said of fighting at UFC 300. Okay, I think that's the story. This is a little bit surprising because if it doesn't say how long the surgery is going to hold him out for. And he also says that he hasn't even had the surgery yet, right? He says in 1 or 2 weeks. So you would say basically, but before the end of this year, we're already in December. So if it's like 2 weeks from now, we could be looking at like a date of like December 20th or something. It could be like a late date. Like I said, I personally don't know how long this injury is going to have him out for, but it says it could keep him out for an extended period of time. And if he's getting surgery in late December, I don't really see him coming back in April, right, for a torn ligament. And in the last few years, Khamzat Chimaev has not been the most active fighter. He only fought once this year. He defeated Kamaru Usman in the middleweight division. And last year he fought twice. He defeated who did he defeat? He defeated Kevin Holland in a catchweight fight, and he defeated Gilbert Burns in the welterweight division. So he's only fought 3 times in the last 2 years. Not the most active fighter. With Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland happening in January of this year. I don't know if the winner is going to turn around in 3 months for that fight. Sean Strickland's last fight was in. It was in September, right? So it's been about 4 or 5 months since his last fight. Dricus du Plessis' last fight was in, June, July of this year? So it's been like 6, 7 months since his last fight. So I would not necessarily expect... And Dricus du Plessis finished his fight in the second round. So I don't really expect that the winner of UFC 297, Sean Strickland versus Dricus du Plessis to turn around and fight in April. I don't really see that happening. I'm assuming that the UFC is probably gonna have Tom Aspinall defend his heavyweight title versus like a Cyril Gane, or basically because most of the title champions are going to be unavailable for UFC 300. We don't know what's happening with Conor McGregor. We have no idea what's going on there. Islam Makhachev, maybe he fights versus Charles Oliveira, but Sean O'Malley is fighting Marlon Vera a month before. Alexander Volkanovski is fighting Ilya Tapora in February. You have Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland in January. You have Alex Pereira. Maybe Alex Pereira is another champion you can have on the UFC 300 card. He's available. I don't think he's going to be fighting Jamal Hill next, so we have to see who Alex Pereira could fight. But yeah, the UFC 300 card it's going to be an interesting one. It's going to be an interesting one. Maybe not too many championship fights on the card, but we're going to have some superstars. Maybe Conor McGregor comes back, but personally, like I said, I'm an MMA casual, so I don't follow everything that's going on in the sport, but I would be a little bit, if Khamzat Chimaev had, he fought Kamaru Usman last month, right? That was kind of early in November, and the idea that he still has not had surgery on this hand after, when he finished the fight, he thought he had a broken hand. So the fact that he still hasn't had surgery, and he's talking about having surgery, 2 weeks from now, I sincerely doubt that, Khamzat Chimaev is going to be ready to fight at UFC 300 for the UFC middleweight championship. And also another thing, Khamzat Chimaev is ranked number 9 in the UFC middleweight division. He's ranked behind Brendan Allen. He's ranked behind Roman Dolidze, Marvin Vittori, Costa. He's behind Robert Whittaker. He's behind Israel Adesanya. So I don't necessarily know if Khamzat Chimaev is even next in line, even if he was ready, right? Because he's ranked number 9. I don't know why he's ranked so far behind on the rankings in the UFC rankings, but we'll see. Brendan Allen just came off of a pretty impressive win. Jared Cannonier has a victory over Sean Strickland. It depends on who wins between Dricus du Plessis versus Sean Strickland, but I would see that fight happening. The winner of that fight may be fighting Khamzat Chimaev in June or July of next year, right? I would think that would happen around International Fight Week. Maybe that seems like that would line up better. But let me know your opinion of this story. I'm Jason, UFC. Today we had a story about UFC middleweight contender, number 9 ranked middleweight contender. Khamzat Chimaev is headed for hand surgery and talks about his ideal return date. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the $1 donation button. And please tune in to the next video on this channel. Thanks a million for watching.